happiness today, the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is a very popular topic these days. Everybody wants to maximize the happiness function. If you look in Amazon, you will find that there are over 5,000 books written in the topic of happiness, 25% of which were written in the past 5 years. But really, the pursuit of happiness is one of the oldest quests in the history of the philosophy of mankind. Let's do a brief walkthrough through the history of the pursuit of happiness. Over 2,300 years ago, Plato said that only moral people can truly be happy. I don't know if you agree with this statement. In my experience, the very good and moral people tend to be suffering, while those that don't mind stabbing you with a knife in the back appear to have it all going for them. But anyways, Plato went on to say that happiness can also be found when one fulfills his social function in life, and that other forms of happiness, such as money, power, leisure, these are lesser forms of happiness, and they may not even be true forms of happiness at all, only false mirages. Aristotle, his son, his scholar, academic son, coined a term called eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is human flourishing or well-being, and that is the goal of all human thought and action. Now, he also mentioned that there are many aims which are like money, wealth, pleasure, leisure, which are intermediary aims, which serve only to achieve a higher aim, which is this human flourishing or well-being. But the human flourishing is the aim in and of itself. It is sufficient and standalone. So, Aristotle went on to say that human beings are like plants and animals. He compared us. So when does a plant function well? When it gets the sunlight and water. And when does an animal appear to function well? You see its fur is glowing when it has a good diet. So the question is, when does a human properly function or function well? So here Aristotle came with this reasoning. Human thought and action are important for human being, human thought and action in accordance to reason. Okay, this is important for human functioning. And that is the doctrine of moral and intellectual virtue. And this leads us to the conclusion that the having and acting with moral and intellectual virtue is an essential element of human flourishing. And then we have the Cynics and the Stoics. The Cynics said that we have to reject all forms of happiness that deal with money, power, wealth, fame, and all those. And instead, we have to use ascesis, which is rigorous training, and living the simple life. And this is very similar. Wow, I'm not finished at all. This is the living the simple life. This is in line with also the Eastern philosophies about happiness. Then we have Maimonides. Maimonides, a Rambam, 1,000 years ago, he said that happiness is essentially and ultimately an intellectual sphere. And finally, we have the Declaration of Independence, which says that all men are created equal and they are given certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if happiness is a basic right, why is it so elusive? So we come to, let's fast forward a little bit into modern research. There is a very important and famous study called the 75-year study by Harvard. I think many of you have seen this on TED, and if not, you can just simply look for it, TED Talks. And this, the conclusion of the study basically says that good relationship is the key to happiness. Thoughts?
And call for action?
Be happy.
The call for
Don't
action is, I will just relate a short story that I have, and then I will...
We don't have much time, darling, but
I'll do it
just
quickly.
a message.
Okay.
Just a message.
So I was sitting on the plane, and a woman next to me was talking very passionately, and I saw that she was happy. She was talking to the woman who was sitting in front of her, and I wanted to talk to her, but instead she turned and looked to me, and she said, "I'm talking with my daughter." And I said, "Wow, it looks like your best friend." So she said, "She is my best friend. We're very happy." And I said, "Wow, happy? Tell me your secret." So she said, "We make ourselves happy. We're happy, we're making ourselves happy." So I said, like a thirsty person in the desert looking for water, I asked her, "Wow, how can you do that? How do you do that?" So she said, "Well, we're proactively looking for happiness. We celebrate life. We celebrate everything. We're actively seeking happiness." And I said, "How do you do that?" So she said, "We all gather around the table every Shabbat, and everyone in his turn says what good thing happened to them this week that made them happy. And that is how we teach positive thinking." And let me end with a quote. Happiness is not something we attain. Happiness is not something somewhere we go. Happiness is simply a state of mind.
True.
By one Ignatius.